So lesson 7, I gave this the clever name, hey, more projectile problems. Weird stuff. Although I started out with something that we already did, but I felt was worth repeating. Just a reminder, what if we launch horizontally? What if we launch horizontally? So if we had something like this, and let's say this was 94 meters per second. You would start out going horizontal, vertical. As soon as you write horizontal, you would say, A, I know that's 0. A, I know that A is negative 9.8. I think horizontally is a little easier than at a cliff at an angle. What else do I know? What can you tell me about the velocity z? What's Vx and what's Vy initial? I don't need to do any trig this time. What's Vx? 94. What's Vy initial? This is the tricky one because often I'll hear kids say, you didn't tell me the initial vertical velocity. Or they'll want to say, it's 94. No, that's a horizontal. Don't you dare. Hey, what is Vy initial when we launch horizontally from a cliff? That's what you need to remember. For a split second, it's 0. Then the rest is the same. That's not enough. I have 2 things in each column. Johnson, I need 3 things to find the 4th. So either they're going to tell you the height of the cliff, which means you're going to go vertical and get a quadratic equation. Or if you're lucky, they'll tell you the range, the horizontal distance, which you'll put here, and you can solve for t, and you won't get a quadratic, even nicer. Or maybe they'll be really nice and tell you the time of flight. But you'd start out this way. So, example 2. A projectile is launched from a cliff as shown. It lands on the ground 5.2 seconds later. A, find the height. B, find the range. So this one, welcome back. Did you get the notes from last day, Ashley? Okay, welcome back. Lessons are online. We missed you. Not just because you're first on my alphabet and it makes it taking attendance awkward. We actually did miss you. What's different about this one? Did they tell you the height of the cliff? No. Did they tell you the range? What did they give you? What did I say that we're going to spend most of our time finding? No pun intended. No, I've never. Where's my? Wish I had a projectile handy right now. What do we say? Most of the time we spend time finding time. If they gave it to us, I'm going to tell you, if you know the time, generally the question's going to be a lot more straightforward. We're going to start off the same. Are we at an angle? Then what's the first thing I'm going to do? Begins with the letter C. Components. I'm going to break it into horizontal and vertical. I'm going to make my list, and then I'll decide what to go from there. So what did we say Vx was going to be? What did we say Vy initial was going to be? Was there a stupid way, if your teacher had a nice, clever way for you to remember what Vy was? It would be nice if you have a sucky physics teacher. They got nothing. I think I've memorized that Vy is 20 sine 30, and I think that Vx is 20 cos 30. I would go trundling over to here, and I would say Ax is 0. I would say Ay is negative 9.8. I think Vy initial ends up being exactly 10, and I think Vx is going to be, it's going to be 8.66 times 2, so it's going to be 16. It's going to be 17.32. Double check me. Am I right? I got it to 2 decimal places that time? Hey, I'm proud of that. I happen to know that cosine is 0.866 because I've just seen it. 30 degrees shows up so often. You see them eventually. Even a dumb old person like me can memorize stuff. Who's in Pre-Calc 12? What you'll actually find this year is you'll memorize using a clever method 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 45 degrees. They're called special triangles, and there's an easy visual way that you can just imagine the triangle they belong to and imagine the side lengths and actually just do the opposite over adjacent in your head. That's what I'm doing, in case you wondered. Mike, how many things do I have in each column right now? Not enough. Oh, wait. What else did they tell me? And this is why I said this makes the question way easier, because I think you'll agree with me. I can do this, Mike, but I can also do this, yes? And now I have 3 things in both columns, so I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Kieran, what did they ask me to find for part A, kiddo? That's vertical, I think. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm going to write over here. Oh, I left you guys lots of room. Good gosh. I'll go A dy equals question mark. So I guess I'm looking for an equation that has A, Vy, T, and D in it. And not only is there such an equation, Cliff's eyes just kind of lit up because he went, the D's already by itself. I mean, how often does that happen? That's why I said if they give you time, the question kind of falls apart. Cliff, I think you're saying I can use dy equals VIT plus a half AY T squared. Cliff, I think I can even do that. No, I can't. Never mind. Vy is not 0. That was the horizontal previous question. Whoops. Take that back. It's going to be 10 times 5.2 plus 0.5 times negative 9.8 times 5.2 squared. Okay, Mr. Dueck, do that one in your head. Ooh. Well, 10 times 5.2 is 52. It's going to be pretty close to 25 times 5. It's going to be very close to 125, 50. 177? Double check me. Or am I way off? I might be. I forgot to divide by 2. Duh! Sorry, what is it?
80. Well, negative 80.
Negative 80 even?
0.4.
So give it to me to 3 sig figs. Round it off properly.
80.5.
Negative?
Yes.
Negative 80.5? Why negative? Okay, you're ending up below from where you started from, and nature is saying, hey, I know you went downwards. Okay. Now, if I ask you for the height of a cliff, and you tell me the answer is, what'd you say, Michael? Negative what?
80.5.
I won't take marks off. Technically, Peter, if I use the word height, I would argue technically that's a scalar, because I don't think you ever say, see that mountain? It's negative 210 meters high. I think you drop the negative, but I won't take marks off. I think there is a question that you'll see in the future sometime where I say, hey, find the height. Okay. Which I guess would imply that it's on a cliff, because if you're going from ground and ending up on the ground and I say find the height, that's kind of a boring question. Johnson, what did B want me to find? The range, dx. And you know what? I think, again, it's just going to be Vxt. Yes, plus a half AT squared, but what happened to the half AT squared? Why did I cancel it?
A is 0.
Horizontally, A is 0. Do you see what I mean? If you know the time, the question really tends to fall apart a little bit. It's going to be, what the heck was it? 17.32 times 5.2 I'll whip out and go to my calculator. 17.32 times 5.2, 38.1, is that right?
7.2.
Oops. 17.32 times 5.2, that makes more sense. Seemed a little short. 90.1? Yeah. Jordan, here's the point. It seems to me that I can give you either distance and say find the time and the other distance, or I can give you the time and say find either distance, going forwards and backwards. Let's kick it up seriously a notch. Number 3 and then number 4. I'm pretty sure I like number 3. I like number 3. I like number 3. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I like number 4. I like number 4. I like number 4. Number 3 is very similar to the question Hakeem asked us earlier today, in that when I look at part A, Hakeem, what's part A asking me to find? What is the what?
Velocity.
And I'll bet you it's going to be a slanty velocity at an angle. Okay? I bet you I'm going to find Vx. I bet you I'm going to find Vy at that moment. I'm going to add those two vectors together. How would I add those two vectors together, Hakeem? Draw them, tip to tail, and then thankfully it's going to be a right triangle, so I can go all Pythagoras C and SOHCAHTOA E, and I'm done. I make it sound so simple. It's not. I'm going to dulp. Did you all just turn the page? Having done this, did I give you a whole page to do this one on? I did? Okay. I think that'll be it. If I'd only given you half, I was going to say let's draw the diagram above the question, but I think something to give you a whole page will be good. Where are we launched from, cliff or ground?
Ground.
Okay. Initial velocity of 88 meters per second at an angle of 70 degrees with the horizontal. What's this asking me to find? What's the velocity when? After 4.6 seconds. What do you think? Is it on its way up or on its way down? Honestly, I have no idea. Although I could probably figure it out. I could, well, first of all, Nathan, dulp. Yes? Angle? Components. Where Vx is going to be 88 cos 70, and Vy initial is going to be 88 sine 70. It's going to be 88 cos 70, 30.1. $82.7. Now what? Yep.
Find Vy final.
Even before that, how have we done all of these? What's been our next step? We've gone angle, components. Then what have we done? My little T-table chart, right? Horizontal and vertical. And what I'm trying to do, Michael, you're going to find is in each unit, I'm going to try very hard to give you, here is a first principles approach that will work for anything, and then be clever along the way to see when you need to veer off or which direction you need to head. But whenever possible, I'll try and say, I think we can do the same old, same old. I think we can go horizontal, vertical. And you were correct, Michael, but not yet. Because I think I want to remind myself that that's 0, so Vx is 30.1. That's negative 9.8. Ooh, I know one more thing that I can write under both these columns, actually. Sorry? What is the time?
That's about 1:45.
No.
4.6 seconds.
And then put your pencils down for a second. I got a bit of a problem here. I am not quite sure, Petra, whether I'm hitting on the way down or whether I'm on the way up. So I'm not going to, normally I'd say dulp and draw it, but I'm just not quite sure how to draw it. Does anybody think that they can spot a way where I could quickly figure out whether it's on its way up or on its way down? Is there a way I could tell? Sorry?
The acceleration at time bigger than the initial velocity, and it's on the way down.
I think that, I think to be honest, what I would do is I would say really quickly, I'll just find, because what you're doing there is only one key punch less than actually finding Vy final. I think I'm just going to quickly find Vy at 4.6 seconds, and if it's positive, what does that mean? On the web, if it's negative, what does that mean? If by a bizarre fluke it's exactly 0, what would that mean? It would mean that in making up this question and picking a time from random, I'd happen to fluke out and actually give you the time when I was at the top, which almost happened once. I think it ended up being like 0.02, almost bang on, so I had to change the numbers and start over. Just a fluke, happens. So I can go... So Elijah, is there an equation that has A, V initial, T, and V final in it? You mean it's got the VF by itself already? Oh, we're on a roll here. By the way, did you hear what Elijah said? He said, the short way, Mr. Dueck, and he's right, is, look, I know this is positive because it's on the way up when we left. If you just go this times this, if that's bigger because it's negative, you're on your way down. If it's smaller than that, you're still on your way up. That's what he was saying. And I agree with you, but then I said, you know, if I'm going to go acceleration times time, if I'm going to do that much, why don't I also just go plus VI at the same time, because it's going to be 3 more keystrokes. It's going to be 82.7. It's going to be not enough room. It's going to be 82.7 plus negative 9.8 times 4.6. Although, if I don't want to type anything, Elijah, I could have just said to myself, negative 9.8 is really close to negative 10, and 4.6 times negative 10 is 46, which is way smaller than V initial. You know what? It is good. I'm going to get a positive answer, yeah? We're going to get going up. What'd you get for VY final? Sorry, what, Nick? 37 point, and I'll carry a few extra sig figs because this is not my final answer. 37.62 or 63? 62? 6, sorry? 2? Anyone else agree? Yeah. Positive. Okay. On the way up. That means now I can dulp. I think that's the velocity, which is made up of that and that. Oh, Hakeem, how did I add those two together? I drew them. Why, yes, I did. Hakeem, what can I write next to Vx? Darn right. What can I write next to Vy final? And now what? Pythagoras to find the magnitude. Did it say magnitude only, or did it say magnitude and direction? Okay, by the way, a nice multiple choice version of this question would be either find magnitude only or find direction only, because either of those requires you to do about 90% of the work anyways, so whatever. Let's go Pythagoras. Let's see. V squared is going to be 30.1 squared plus 37.62 squared. So V is going to be, I don't want to call this V final because I'm going to have 2 F's. So you'll notice if it's a resultant, I tend to go V with the big vector bar, and that's my way of saying V resultant. Or Johnson, if you want to, you could call it V capital R for resultant or something. I'm just reluctant to put an F because I'll get this F mixed up with the other VF, even though technically it is a V final at that moment, technically. 30.1 squared plus 37.62 squared. What the? Oh, square root. 48.2 meters per second at. Go back to where your vector is starting from, right there. There's my direction. There's my theta. I think I can use tangent because I think it's opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. inverse tan of opposite over adjacent. Do you get 51.3 degrees? Can I call that north of east? No. I won't take marks off if you do, but let's be accurate, because that's not north. How would I describe this?
Vertical, horizontal.
Above the horizontal. One more and we're done. I think it's just one more. Let me double check. That's all they wanted me to find, right? Oh, there's a part A. Okay. What's part B? We're not going to do part B. We're going to talk about it. What would I do for part B? Start out the same. Components, Claire, we already have. Chart, Claire, we already have. Vx wouldn't change. Vy initial wouldn't change. Time would be 12 in both columns. Then what would I try and find? Which one? Okay, Vy final. I bet you this time it's going to be negative. Why? Because 12 seconds is a lot of time to be in free fall. I'm guessing you're near the ground. In which case, I would draw it pointing down. It would be not above the horizontal, but what, William? Below the horizontal. It would be the same question. We could. Not gonna, because I can see, unless I yell again, that back row is not looking very good. What we are going to do instead is example 4. This is about as tough as I'm going to throw at you, but this is fair game. In fact, I like this question. I like this question. I like this question. I like this question. What are they asking us to find here, Race? This is the same as the question we just did. We're going to find Vx. We're going to find Vy final. We're going to add those two together, tip to tail, Pythagoras, and then trig above the horizontal or below the horizontal. If the diagram is correct, I think it's going to be below the horizontal because that's what the diagram looks like to me. Okay. Let's start. Bree, do you see an angle? You know what that means, don't you? It's a word that begins with letter C and rhymes with components. Components. I'll do that above the picture. So I'm going to go d. There's Vx, Vy initial, and I'll say Vx is going to be 26. Which trig function? Cos 37. And Vy initial is going to be 26 sine 37. 26 cos 37. 20.76. Sine gives me 15.6. I'm going to go 16.647. I'll carry an extra sig fig. 15.647. Someone have a flashing personality there? He wanted to see what studious students look like on time because, you know, he's trying. So thank you for being his role models. All right, smarty peoples, now what? Now what? I'm going to do my little chart. And remember, Kelly, what did they say they're asking us to find? In fact, I think what they're asking us to find, if I drew a picture, is this. Wham! I'll call it V impact or V resultant. I hate using an F. I called it V final in the instructions, but I would still stay away from the F because I'm worried I'll get that F confused with the other F, and I can prevent that. Chart. Horizontal, vertical. Horizontally, right away. I know that. Right away. I know that. Oh, and I said Vx was, scroll down, 20.76. Vy initial was 15.647. Josh, you may notice that on the last question, we then wrote time underneath both columns. Did they give us the time? There has to be something else they gave us, though, because right now I only have 2 things, and I need 3. What kind of a distance, horizontal or vertical? Dx equals 40. Ding, 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 ding. Now I have 3 things in one column. I'm going to solve this horizontally. By the way, the other thing they could have done, instead of giving me the distance, they could have told me how high it hit the wall at. And in this case, are you ending up above or below from where you started from in this question? So if they'd given me the height of the wall where it hit, would I put a positive or a negative vertical displacement in? Positive. Okay. I think there's one like that on the big review package somewhere. I'm going from memory, but I think. Ashley, which column do I have 3 things in? Horizontal or vertical? Oh, you're ever so clever. So that means I can solve for t here. In fact, can't I go like this? Can't I go t equals d divided by v? It's going to be 40 divided by 20.76. It's going to be almost 2, a little less than 2, because 40 divided by 20 even would be 2. 40 divided by 20.76, and I get 1.926. I'll go I'll carry a few extra sig figs. I'm going to go 1.927. And I can write that here. Oh, by the way, Kelly, remember to the left where I drew V impact? I think what I could really have said was it's going to get broken up into Vx and Vy final, and I already could have filled in Vx, I think. Manisha, what could I put in for Vx, my angel? You see it? Oh, you are ever so clever. Thank you. By the way, don't write this down. Manisha, could I do, don't write this down. Could I go like this? That's a common mistake kids want to do. They want to put V Y, because it's a Y, but no, I need Vy final. So, However, Manisha, how many things do I have in this column now? I can find the 4th. Hey, is there an equation that has V final, V initial, A, and T in it? There is! Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. So I can go Vy final equals Vy initial plus AT. And if the diagram is to scale, I am expecting a negative here. Because looking at the picture, it looks like they deliberately made it so it looks like it's going down when it hits the wall. It may not be to scale. Dueck could have stolen this diagram from a Renault provincial exam and just changed the numbers, and maybe he screwed up the scale when he did so. Or maybe he did that the first time he used this picture and then redid the numbers, and now it is better. I think I'm getting a Vy final of 15.647 plus negative 9.8 times 1.927. I think I'm getting 15.647 plus negative 9.8 times, and I'll use my answer button. Woohoo! I get negative 3.23546. I'll go negative 3.235. What was it? Negative 3.235? Is that right? Anybody else? Yeah? And now I'm going to stick that on my Pythagoras triangle, but I'm going to ditch the negative. This is going to be just plain old 3.235. Why didn't I need to put the negative? I got an arrow pointing down. There's my vector in the diagram. Sammy, how can I find the impact velocity? Math 8? No. Really? Oh, Mr. Dueck, this is so much fun. I almost think like I should be paying money for this. Yeah. You know, I bet you I could charge admission. Absolutely. So, Sammy, let's go Pythagoras. Oh, this is going to be kind of cool, kind of nerdy, all good stuff. So it's going to be, I'm going to try doing it in one step. It's going to be a big square root of 20.76 squared plus 3.235 squared. 20.76 squared plus, answer squared. Mr. Dueck, your answer is negative. I know, but when I square the negative, what's going to happen to that negative anyways? So I'm being sloppy and lazy, but it'll work. 400. Oh, better not forget to what? Square root. 21.0. You know what? 21.0. I think the impact velocity is 21.0 meters per second. Actually, that's the impact speed. How could I make that a velocity? I need a direction. At. Yoink. At. Which trig function? Tangent. I think I can do that actually right here. I think I can go tan theta equals opposite over adjacent 3.235 over 20.76. And I get, oh, not a big angle. It's barely reached the top. It's just barely on its way down. Only, you got 81? I think you did adjacent over opposite. You found that angle there. That's not the, it's where the vector's coming from. Not what it's hitting the wall at, where the vector's coming from. I drew it or he drew it backwards? Okay, but you found an angle below, so your angle unfortunately isn't with the horizontal. So the angle that you found is going to be, how would we say this, to the right of the vertical or to the left of the vertical. But, or you can just draw it the same way we all did. I have to be different. Look at me, yeah. I'm going to go 8.9. Below the horizontal. Okay.
If it's going down, is it always below the horizontal?
Look at the picture. As long as I'm finding that angle and I draw my triangle that way with a horizontal line first and then a vertical line, then yeah, it'll be below the horizontal. Okay? What Elijah did is he drew the vertical first and then the horizontal. And so he found, right? His picture goes boom, boom. He found this angle. That's not next to a horizontal. That's to the right of a vertical, I guess. I'd take it. But, yeah. What would they actually say? They wouldn't say, they might say the vertical, or actually another word for vertical is the normal, which is why we called it the normal force last year, for those of you who are wondering. They might say to the right or to the left of the normal, or they might even say tangent to the normal or something like that. I don't know. It's just, we generally, because it's a projectile, tend to talk about up and down, because it's a projectile. Just saying. I've done my little foxtrot rant. I said Bill Ammond actually has a degree in physics. You will notice if you look close, all of the physics doodling there is correct. Although he's using 10 instead of negative 9.8. But at least he went metric. As an American, at least he went metric because he saw the light. Okay. What's your homework? What did I call it? I called it the ultimate kinematics review package is due Wednesday. Give me a second here.